Estoy muy emocionada, estoy contenta porque tenemos dos invitados súper importantes, dos invitados que nos han hecho el honor de estar este día con nosotros. Obviamente vamos a empezar a darle la bienvenida al señor Ken Hunter. Ken Hunter es un experto en lo que es la educación. Él es un principal retirado de la escuela, de una escuela de aquí de la comunidad, de una high school llamada Prosser Career Academy. So I want to be welcome to Ken Hunter. Thank you to be here.
Well, thanks. And good to see you again, and glad to know that your son is doing great.
Yes.
Fernando's a good guy.
Thank you so much. And the people, all the people know that I'm so proud of my son. Toda la gente sabe que estoy muy orgullosa de mi hijo y siempre he dicho que I'm always mentioned Prosser High School because he was a good student, but the school, it was a great, well, obviously, you were the principal there. I remember you.
Well, thanks.
Y le quiero dar la bienvenida también a una amiga ya de aquí de Planeta X, una persona que es una hormiguita, anda de un lado para otro siendo una activista, y esta es la señorita Delia Bautista. Bienvenida, Delia.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias por el recibimiento tan agradable que recibí hoy. So, desde hoy en adelante me voy a llamar la hormiguita.
Es que eres bien luchona, Delia. Yo quiero verte un día tranquila. Yo quiero verte, no sé, una mamá común y corriente. No, relajada no puedes. Eres una activista y de verdad yo te agradezco mucho que estés aquí en este día con nosotros. Obviamente queremos ver los puntos de vista, por eso tenemos aquí a Ken Hunter, que él es el experto, ¿no? Que
Sí,
podemos
la
también
materia,
preguntar un poquito
claro,
acerca de lo que es la
sí.
educación.
Ajá.
Pero voy a empezar contigo, Delia.
Ajá,
Delia es de la comunidad,
Sí.
¿verdad que
Albany
sí?
Park, ajá.
Eres de Albany Park.
Sí.
Ken Hunter is at Belmont Crying, right? You're from Belmont Crying?
I grew up at Belmont, Harlem, as a matter of fact.
Okay. So both of you are involved in what happened in the community.
Claro.
So you just come today to give a message to our audience about Delia,
Dime.
Chuy Garcia, right?
Chuy García.
And Ken about the education. You're gonna
Yes.
give us give to the people the right message about the education. Obviously, you have a lot of experience on education.
I'm really old.
No, not you're really old, but you've been a principal for how long?
11 plus years in
11.
Chicago.
Wow,
That's a long time.
it's a long time.
It turned out I was the longest serving principal at Prosser in the history of the school, and I'm really proud of that because it's a great school. Great students, great staff, and tremendous community. So I'm real pleased with that.
Sí.
Great. So, Delia,
Dime.
¿qué te hace a ti envolverte a ser una activista, primero que nada?
Wow. Pues yo creo como todas las personas que vemos algo que no nos gusta, algo que pensamos que podemos hacer mejor. Yo como le digo a todo mundo, le digo, yo me vine a Chicago, a Estados Unidos, a vivir mejor. Yo digo que venimos aquí a luchar, sí, a triunfar, tal vez a tener una casita, un carrito, pero creo que eso no es todo. Creo que educación es una de las prioridades que nosotros nos tenemos que enfocar. Les digo yo, en el 2050 dicen que vamos a ser la mitad de la población de Estados Unidos. Y yo me pregunto, ¿y qué tipo de población vamos a ser? Porque los hispanos vamos a tener una gran presión porque van a decir, bueno, si algo va mal en la comunidad o en el país de Estados Unidos, van a decir, se nos van a quedar viendo a nosotros, van a decir, wow, ellos son la mitad, ¿qué están haciendo? ¿Cómo son? ¿Qué hacen?
Okay.
So, tenemos una responsabilidad muy grande.
Si quieres, cuando estés hablando de lo que es la educación y quieres
Sí, me
hablar
tengo
en
que alzar.
inglés,
¿Le cortaste?
si quieres hablar en inglés para que Ken Hunter entienda lo que estás hablando acerca de lo que es la
Me
educación.
recojo el pelo.
acerca de lo que es la educación, está
En inglés.
perfecto.
Ajá.
Si tú quieres decir lo que estabas diciendo acerca de que llegas a este país, llegas a lo que es Chicago y lo más importante para ti es la educación.
Sí. So, todo eso en inglés.
No, pero te estaba dando la recomendación
Que sea en
para
inglés.
que él también entienda si lo quieres hacer
puedo
parcial. Si gusta, sí,
Ok.
pero lo que más me quiero enfocar es en qué es lo que te motiva como mujer latina, como mujer que vienes de un país donde no tenemos los mismos derechos que el hombre hasta estas
Oh, my God.
alturas, obviamente, y llegas a un país donde dices, aquí yo tengo mucho que dar a mi comunidad.
Claro. En inglés. ¿Lo cortó él? ¿Empezamos?
No. Sigue.
Bueno. Guárdame tu nombre.
Laura.
Bueno, como Laura dice, que Laura me echa muchas porras y se lo agradezco. Yo como mujer, como mamá, como inmigrante, pues digo yo que venimos a este país, I'm gonna have to say that in English because I just realized that Mr. Hunter might not
Okay.
understand everything. So what I was just told Laura is that as a lady, as a woman, as a minority, as an immigrant that comes from another country, when I say, well, let's do this, let's support Chuy, let's do something for education. Our community needs something. Let's work for it. I do it because I see that there's so many things that we can change. We can improve jobs for ladies. We can improve our education. We can do so much more as a country that is full of immigrants. And when I'm at home and I say, oh, well, I have so much to do in the house, but we have to go out there and do something that makes a difference to everybody, not just to myself. So,
Sí, prácticamente lo que acabas de decir es de que vienes y dices, puedo hacer en la casa, pero puedo salir y afuera y dar mucho más de mí. Puedo ayudar a la gente para que haya mejores trabajos por las mujeres, para que haya un poco más de equidad en lo que es los derechos del hombre y de la mujer. Tú te has hecho una activista muy reconocida porque hay mucha gente que te conoce y mucha gente a la que has ayudado. Ahorita te estás envuelta, pero empapada en lo que es la campaña de
Claro.
Chuy García.
Sí.
¿Por qué Chuy? ¿Por qué Chuy?
Chuy, because Chuy is the guy. Chuy has the name of Jesus for all of the people who are Christian. Chuy is, he represents the change that Chicago needs. Chuy representa el cambio que necesita Chicago. He represents the change that the schools need. We don't want any more school closings. We don't want another New York who closed 150 schools. We so far have 50 schools closed, and we don't want any more. Chuy he stands not only for education, but Chuy is for the community. He will work to make sure that youth, parents, and everybody in the community will have a job, not just downtown and all these businesses are making their money and the communities are left behind. No, Chuy will work so that the communities have a strong economy, that our communities will be safe. He is committed to bring more police force on the neighborhoods, and he is so for elective school board. He doesn't want it appointed. He wants to make sure that there is democracy on our communities, and he believes there is a constitutional right that we are represented on the area of education. Chuy, it's all we need right now, and I'm sorry, Mr. Ralph Emmanuel. I know you want to make millions, but you guys are only the 1%, and all of us represent the 99%. And you're spending our taxpayer money on your businesses, but we're not going to let that continue. And Chuy will make sure that that won't continue. He will represent us in all these areas that are greatly affecting our communities. especially in healthcare.
Sí, háblanos en español un poquito. Lo que nos estás diciendo, hay mucha gente hispana y desafortunadamente no nos informamos, no estamos leyendo lo que está pasando. Mucha gente ni siquiera sabe quién es Rahm Emanuel. Solamente dicen el mayor, el alcalde, pero mucha gente no sabe ni cómo él luce. Solamente porque sale en la televisión, porque sale en la noticia, pero mucha gente no sabemos ni qué es lo que está haciendo bien, ni qué es lo que está haciendo mal. Háblanos un poquito acerca de eso.
Bueno, si ven esta persona que se llama Rahm Emanuel y le dicen alcalde, le dicen el mayor, él es el alcalde, él es la persona que se encarga de hacer todos estos cambios y pasar leyes. Él tiene el poder tiene mucha influencia de que él es el poder que tiene de decir se cierra una escuela, no se cierra una escuela. Las cámaras que pusieron de seguridad en las paradas de los traffic lights donde se paran los carros para cruzar, él tiene la discreción de decir, bueno, se continúa, se quitan y desafortunadamente lo ha impulsado en una forma muy incorrecta. Porque en vez de poner esas cámaras cerca de las escuelas, las está poniendo en los lugares donde hay más tráfico, por el cual es una conveniencia porque están sacando y multando a todas estas personas. En realidad no se están enfocando en la seguridad de los niños de la escuela, se están enfocando en el revenue, en el dinero que se está trayendo a la ciudad. En sí, él es un hombre de negocios. Él no nos representa a nosotros las minorías, ni a los niños, ni a las personas que necesitan salud médica ni en las escuelas. Totalmente, yo les aconsejo que cuando vean la noticia se pongan a leer, hablan un poquito del periódico y se enteren bien quién es esta persona que nos está haciendo tanto daño.
Kent, she mentioned that red light cameras, and it's a lot. Now we have a lot of cameras. We are receiving a lot of tickets. And it's not around the schools only. It's in different places. What do you think about it?
As far as red light camera, I really don't have a lot of opinion. I've never gotten a ticket. I drive slow because I'm old. But I do think that I really do have a problem. I spent a lot of time in England, and I think there's too many cameras. I think it's just, somewhere along the line, you've got to learn to trust people and back it off. And what I've seen with the red light cameras or whatever the speed cameras, they're all over and they're intrusive and they seem to come up out of nowhere. And we need to be safe around schools. We need to be safe around parks. But there also needs to be a better rollout of how these things come about, because I think they're there to capture people as opposed to protect and make people safe. I think they're there to increase revenues as opposed to increase the safety of neighborhoods.
Okay. Prácticamente lo que él dice es de que sí está bien que estén a lo que es alrededor de las escuelas, pero como tú mencionabas, Delia, hay lugares que ni siquiera hay una escuela, no hay un parque cerca y están las cámaras. Tú ves a un lado, ves a otro. Y yo he buscado personalmente una escuela cerca de donde hay cámaras y no la hay. Es simplemente porque las ponen en el lugar donde está más traficado, donde hay mucho tráfico y obviamente, claro que sí, los que pagamos somos nosotros los ciudadanos, ¿verdad? Delia, yo sé que como mujer, como activista, tienes tu bandera y dices, yo confío en que Chuy García va a traer más trabajos hacia la comunidad. ¿Por qué confías tanto en él? ¿Por qué el confiar, el darle el voto de confianza y mucho más?
Bueno, yo como persona, yo veo que es un hombre de integridad y honestidad, porque si se ponen a ver su historial de él, han visto las decisiones que ha tomado a lo largo de su camino, de su trayectoria como persona de gobierno. Y todos nos damos cuenta de que él está por la comunidad. Cuando se toman decisiones, él las toma de forma de que beneficien a la comunidad. Y todo eso está registrado y se puede ver.
Sí, a eso iba. ¿Qué cargo tiene Chuy García en este momento?
Bueno, ahorita él es nuestro
¿Comisionado?
comisionado en español. El comisionado, entonces su posición la ha mantenido, pero no llegó allí solo. Él bien sabe que llegó gracias al pueblo y se lo debe al pueblo y está consciente de eso. Entonces, cualquier decisión que tome en el futuro, yo creo que se ha visto que él nos apoya, él nos quiere, él quiere ver por su comunidad y todos saben, él viene de México, él es un inmigrante, él ve las necesidades que tenemos como inmigrantes y él está consciente y ha dicho que él no nos va a dar la espalda.
Tú dices, él está abierto al público. O sea, nosotros podemos ir y checar lo que es la carrera de Chuy García y cerciorarnos de que este hombre ha sido honesto, de que este hombre ha sido la persona que ha llevado su carrera por el lado bueno, por el lado de la honestidad. Si nosotros nos metemos, por ejemplo, a todo esto, no vamos a encontrar que haya hecho algún fraude,
Claro.
todos los que queremos votar vamos a ir ahora, pero por el bueno, como dicen, ¿no?
Exactamente.
¿Tú crees que en algún momento de la carrera de Chuy García hay un puntito que podamos encontrar?
Pues yo realísticamente, como cualquier persona, diría que todos podemos, como somos humanos, podemos cometer errores. Y todos debemos de pensar que es la realidad. Pero yo siempre he visto que Chuy García y él siempre dice, bueno, hay que seguir para adelante y su meta es por el buen camino. Hay muchas críticas, especialmente ahorita con los ataques que está mandándole Rahm Emanuel, todas las críticas que se le han dado, él personalmente ha explicado y ha clarificado todas esas cosas, ¿cómo se le dice eso?
Aclarado.
Aclarado todo lo que Ram le ha lanzado, porque Ram le está dando el twist, le está torciendo la verdad para quedar el bien y que Chuy quede como el malo, pero Chuy ha contestado a todas esas acusaciones y ha salido de una forma bastante bien. Yo lo que les digo a las personas, que after all, él es una persona de honestidad.
¿Sabes más o menos cuántas escuelas se han cerrado durante el cargo de Rahm Emanuel?
Son 49, pero decimos que son 50, por redondeo. Pero
Ok.
en New York se cerraron 150 y no queremos llegar a eso. Sí.
50 escuelas.
Ajá.
Wow, Ken. 50 schools closed already.
Well, it was initially came to us that it was going to be over 200
Oh, Dios.
that were going to be closed, and then they moved it down, till eventually it was the number that they closed. I'm not a big fan of closing schools because what you do is you do things to neighborhoods. From what I understand, only one of the buildings that they closed has actually been sold for any other use. I just really don't understand what we're doing. I think I'm at my school, one of the things that we did, and it was really kind of wonderful, through our JROTC, we were working with an organization to build schools. And I laughed as we started talking about this. I'm going, here we are at Prosser, we're building schools all over the world, and yet we're closing them in Chicago. That didn't make a lot of sense to me.
They closing the public schools,
Right.
Yes.
but they're building.
Well, they're opening charter schools, like one right across the street from mine, which I never understood. I thought it was the stupidest idea that I'd ever heard of, building a high school on top of a high school, especially after Prosser ends up being named the #1 school in the state for serving economically disadvantaged students. That's a wonderful thing. That's a great thing. You know, what you needed to do is build more schools like Prosser. You don't need to build charter schools. You need to have more schools that actually address what families need, what young people need. And I was saying before this, the big deal for me, and I'm worried as we look at what's happening. I see some of the initiatives, and one of them is student-based budgeting. I was doing an analysis of budgets last night, and the schools in which I was looking, over 90% of their budget went to just make sure you had basic personnel. There were things that you couldn't do because you were just spending the money to keep the school open. You couldn't spend money on enrichment, on other programs. We would keep Prosser open. One of the things I really liked about the school, we were like an educational 7-Eleven. I mean, we would be open sometimes 24 hours. We're open every Saturday. We had 400, 500, 700, 800 students in on Saturdays. We had kids there late at night. You know, it was just a place. And I know that is important because when I went to St. Pat's, where I was voted Man of the Year and most popular guy in my class in 1971, I was only 3 when I graduated. But when I was there, they did the same thing for me, and I'm still friends with some of those teachers. I was saying before, my understanding of adolescence is a time when we come to find ourselves. And my son, when he was 4 years old, I was playing guitar and he was dancing on the couch. And I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm waiting on myself, Daddy." Well, that's what high school is. The young people that we work with are waiting on themselves, and they need to find themselves in activities. They need to come to a place that's safe. They need to come to a place where they know that there are things for them to look at. And our JROTC was marvelous. Our service learning was marvelous. Our program that Sebastian did, our tech program, that was just unbelievable. And we had kids all over the place. The IB program was terrific. One of the things Rom's done that I think is good, you know, he's added and enhanced the IB programs all over the city. On the other hand, what he's done with student-based budgeting has created an impossibility for us to serve young people and families to the best of our ability. You know, I think teaching is the most important thing in the world, and I think what it does is I think it helps. I just think it helps to make the world better. And when you cut funding, you cut the throats of people. It's horrible.
And let me tell you something. My son, he was the kid who went to Rahm Emanuel to introduce the IB program. And he was happy, my son. Mm-hmm. He was like, "Oh my God, I went to introduce him the IB program because they're trying to know about the IB program for maybe it works for another school, another high schools." But after that, nothing happened. After that, it was like nothing happened. My son, especially, he talked to me about it, and he's like, "Oh, well, we were, very impressed to meet Rahm Emanuel and trying to introduce him the IB program. We went to this program, works in another high school, but after that, I didn't hear anything."
Well, what he did do is he expanded that in a whole lot of high schools.
Okay.
And he did that. The problem is that the way it was done, and I can tell you this, when the previous mayor would open the school year, he would come before us and he would talk and kind of give us a pep talk and make us feel good about what happened. When this present mayor met all the principals and assistant principals and administrators, his opening remark was, "My name is Rahm Emanuel. I always get my way. I always get what I want."
Terrible.
And then he went on to tell us what he wanted. And the first was a longer school day, which at best is a mess. Then we ended up with Aramark, which is continue to make schools a mess. You know, what they did with cleaning. We ended up with student-based budgeting. We ended up with a whole bunch of initiatives all over the place. None of them were well thought out, but it's what he wanted. It was his way or no way. And you mentioned the word democracy to me earlier. I'm a big fan of democracy. I'm a big fan of collaboration. I'm a big fan of freedom and people being creative. And when it's my way or the highway, when it's do it this way or else, and that's the way it's been, that's not helpful to anybody. Nobody creates well. We just had a meeting with one of the other candidates, with Mr. Garcia. There were 19 principals, and there was a sense that he was really listening to us, that he was really interested in what the principals had to say. And when somebody tells you, "I always get my way, I always get what I want," that certainly tells me that he's not interested in what I have to say or anything else.
Bueno, empezamos hablando acerca de que se han cerrado redondeando 50 escuelas. Delia me decía, son 49, pero vamos a decir 50 escuelas que se han cerrado en lo que es la ciudad de Chicago. Le preguntaba yo a nuestro experto Ken Hunter, que él piensa de que se están cerrando estas escuelas y obviamente él nunca estaba a favor de que se cierren las escuelas. Hablábamos un poco de que sí, están cerrando escuelas públicas, pero se están abriendo escuelas charters. Es un poco ridículo, como él dice. Él dice, es un poco ridículo porque les están quitando todo lo que es el presupuesto. El presupuesto anteriormente, cuando él trabajaba, él estaba activo, era un 80% personal y un 20% estudiantes para todo lo que eran las actividades estudiantiles. Ahorita está un 90% personal y un 10% lo que son los estudiantes, que ya no se puede tener ese dinero para que los niños tengan actividades como cuando él estaba activo, que tenían bastantes actividades. De esto yo puedo dar fe. Sí fue la high school donde fue Fernando y donde de verdad que se hacían actividades familiares, se hacían noches de teatro los viernes con espagueti, con sodas, era muy bonito, era una fiesta, se hacían viajes a los museos, se hacían viajes al planetario, pero en familia, y muchas veces estaba abierta la escuela los 7 días a la semana. Tenían incluso sleepovers. I remember the sleepovers.
Me too.
Donde los maestros contentos ayudaban a los niños. Los maestros se quedaban y siempre estaban ayudando a estos programas. Ahorita se acabaron todas esas cosas, queda muy poco dinero, el presupuesto está muy, muy, muy poco. Prácticamente eso es una de las pocas cosas que estábamos platicando. Sí. De hecho, yo le decía que el que introdujo, el que le presentó lo que es el IB Program, el programa de bachillerato internacional a Rahm Emanuel, fue mi hijo Fernando. Mi hijo se quedó muy emocionado en que esto se iba a implementar, en que esto se iba a hablar, en que esto se iba a hacer en grande. Después de eso no se supo mucho. Me dice que sí lo implementaron en algunas escuelas, pero son cosas que deberían de dejar saber a la comunidad de dónde están esos programas. Sí. No se sabe nada. Lo único que se sabe es de que él quiere mantener su peso y quiere tener lo que él es, su figura estilizada y lo que él quiera tener. Prácticamente es lo que Kent nos está diciendo, y obviamente sí. Si él lo dice, él es un experto en todo esto y él sigue pendiente todavía de lo que es la educación. Él está envuelto todavía en lo que es la educación, aunque él ya está retirado. Right, Kent? You're still involved in the education. You're still involved in all the I mean, schools, budgets and everything. You know everything about it, even if you retired it.
Well, I hope I do. And the whole point is you want to help, and I just want to be helpful to the schools, and that's really the deal. I don't think there's anything more important than the schools. And what you can find, and I've been an officer in the Principals Association. I've been involved in a whole lot of wonderful things at the state level, and worked in a whole group of schools all over the city. And the one thing that I found, and I go back to this meeting we had last Thursday night with Mr. Garcia, you're going to find that most of the people in schools, teachers and principals, are people of real goodwill, who have great hearts, who want to do their best and succeed. Right. And one of the things that you can really do, if you have people there who are willing to collaborate with you, willing to work with you, willing to hear your point of view, willing to share their point of view with you, but share it as opposed to impose it, you're going to get a whole lot of really good, and I love the word synergy, you're going to get a lot of really good synergy and a lot of good creativity. And I can just tell you this, what's happened to the schools over the last few years is it's stifled the leadership. There's been micromanagement. People are frightened. Okay. Teachers are frightened. Principals are frightened. And I don't think that's healthy. Schools are about life, and you need to make them places where people can feel alive and not stifled.
Laura, am I going to say something? Now that Ken and you're talking about schools and cut budgets, I just want to add, I've been I don't know, a lot of people don't know this perhaps, but I've been a LSD member for about 15 years. Recently, I became an LSD trainer, and I'm at the LSD advisory board. So by saying that, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, I've seen the struggles with the budget. Lately, within the past few years, we have to take tough decisions. We have to cut some teachers, and I hear from all the schools that the first person that lately is being cut is the librarian, because it's either we keep a math teacher or we keep the librarian. So right now we're at less than 50% at schools available with a certified librarian. So I don't know how are children gonna survive with no librarian? How are they gonna do the research and all that? So yes, decisions had to be made within the budget, and
Dinos
it's
un
just
poquito en
terrible.
español, eso es importante.
Sí.
There's
Que
something
nos lo
like
digas un poquito en español en lo que estás envuelta.
there's something that's really important. I was talking to a fella from Finland, and they always talk about the education there, and we should always try to reach the finish line, as it were. But what they do is they invest in young people. They invest in their schools. The fellow I spoke with, he said, we don't have a lot of natural resources in Finland. Our most important resource is our young people. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to invest in. And I look at what we're doing right now, cutting budgets. I understand we're in an economic situation, but we can't cut the funding to our most valuable resource, which are the hearts and minds of the young people in this city and in this country, and that's what we're doing. The other thing, just quick, I didn't know you were an LSC trainer. I knew you were on an LSC. But one of the things, too, LSCs are really, in so many ways, the greatest hope for our city. And one of the things that I've seen in the platform that Mr. Garcia has, he's really looking to elevate the importance of the LSC and reinvigorate what LSCs are doing. And I think that's terrific on every level.
Wow. Se nos está acabando el tiempo, Delia.
No hay problema.
Un último mensaje. Jess, dinos, por ejemplo, ¿cuál sería tu mensaje a esa gente que nos está viendo en YouTube, a esa gente que nos está escuchando por Planeta X, esa gente que dice, ok, me voy a informar, voy a saber ahora de lo que está pasando, pero ¿cuál sería tu mensaje final hacia ellos?
Mi mensaje es que tienen que informarse y no tienen que ir muy lejos. Chuy es la persona que necesitamos, que va a traer el cambio a nuestras comunidades para que nos prueba la seguridad, la educación, nos regrese esas clínicas de salud mental que ya no existen, nos pare las escuelas que se están cerrando, que se pare, no sé hasta qué punto, pero se pare la privatización que está tomando lugar en toda la ciudad. Necesitamos a Chuy. Él es nuestro salvador por el momento y voten por él. Vayan a la website. Chuy García tiene una website, se llama chicagoforchuy.com. Ahí pueden encontrar toda la información. Ahí también tienen la oportunidad de ser voluntarios, de dar donaciones, de expresar sus ideas. Ahí está la página, again, chicagoforchuy.com. Y pues los esperamos el día de las votaciones, y antes de las votaciones necesitamos muchos voluntarios. Pónganse en contacto, los necesitamos. La ciudad de Chicago lo necesita, las comunidades lo necesitan, y nosotros necesitamos a Chuy. Tenemos que estar trabajando todos juntos.
Ken.
Yeah, just from my point of view, education is the most important thing that goes on, and I really believe that this mayor has tried to do his best. My problem is his best is not very good. As a matter of fact, his best is really awful, and it's devastated the schools, and it's devastated the lives of young people. When you go back to the school closings, I had an odd conversation with a friend of mine who went to a Catholic school that was closed. When they announced the closing, they brought counselors in to talk to the students months before and to work with the staff. We closed 50 schools, and nobody came in and counseled anybody. We devastated communities. We devastated young people's lives. I'm going to say one thing about Prosser, my ex-school. we had a dropout rate of 0.1%, not 1, but 0.1%. That's 1.5, because we had 1,500 kids. That's 1.5 student dropping out per year, which is absolutely a ridiculous number. That's an amazing number. And what you're doing there is it's indicative of the fact that my staff and my people cared very deeply about the young people who were there. And that's what's important. And when you close a school, we thought long and hard about anybody ever leaving the school, because when you leave a school, what do you go to? You go to something that's not healthy, that's not helpful. And when you close those schools, there are at least 500 students we have no idea where they went to. What happened to those lives? And that's really important. Lives matter, and we closed on the lives of 11,000 students, and we didn't think about what would happen to them and to their families. That concerns me. That's too cavalier. That's too unfeeling.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much for being here, for giving us
you're
your
welcome.
opinion about the education of
welcome.
Chicago. I just want to thank Delia. Delia, muchas gracias.
Espero
Muchas
que nos
gracias
traigan
por
de
todo
nuevo.
esto. Yo espero que esto haya servido para que también nosotros nos informemos un poco acerca de lo que está pasando, acerca de lo que es también que sepamos que la campaña de Chuy García está empezando también en Planeta X. También estamos tratando de apoyar a lo que es Chuy García. Se me quedaron unas preguntas por ahí del público que me estaban diciendo, las vamos a guardar porque vamos a tener al señor Chuy García en los estudios de Planeta X Live. No me queda más que decirles thank you very much y decirles a ustedes igual que salgamos, votemos, pero que soñemos, porque si pasa por nuestra mente y pasa por nuestro corazón, pasa por nuestras vidas. Buenas noches.